Hey guys, welcome back for another episode. My name is Jason, the creative mind behind the mod I Am Legion for Dying Light 1 and 2. And I'm going to be crawling through a little bit more on the 1.0 difficulty tonight. I ran into an issue earlier in the week where I've been trying to redo the AI present pools. And as some of you who have modded the game may know, this is the biggest it's definitely the most annoying thing in the game as far as modding, just because the lists are all in one place for everything throughout the entire game, and it is very easy to break. So basically, you mess up one little thing, and you don't get any zombies spawning throughout the experience. So what I've been doing is crawling through and trying to set this up. And so the original hope was that I could set this AI present pools up in a way that would allow me to inject these pools through the config files. But when I started looking through here and trying to mess with this earlier, I had the problem where it basically was not taking the injected pools. So because of that, I'm having to take another look at how to set these up. And currently, the approach I'm taking right now is to first get everything working how I want to get everything working. So I'm going to try to go in and essentially I'm at the top of the list now instead of these pools that are scattered throughout the entire thing here. You got thousands upon thousands of pages worth of content here. So instead of having to crawl through all of these different lines, what I'm trying to do is go up and create pools up at the top. And also by injecting pools, I actually think that I might be able to inject some of this difficulty settings that I mentioned before, being able to create custom pools for easy difficulty, medium difficulty, and hard difficulty. Along with that, I'm also trying to set up randomization so that certain pools are called and certain ones maybe aren't. So that way, every time you go to a different one, maybe you have a different experience. So these are all things that I'm hoping I can pull off, but we'll just kind of see how it goes here. I'm going to go ahead and set up a couple of things here and make sure that the stream is going. Thank you guys so much for joining me on here, whether you're watching this as a recording or whether you're watching live. I appreciate you guys jumping on, and I love hearing your guys' feedback. So I'll be keeping an eye on the chat. If you have any questions, make sure to either ask here or you can jump over to the Discord. So the Discord link should be on all of my videos previously, and I believe also on the profile. I'd be happy to answer any of your guys' questions on the Discord or on here. Feel free to ask. But for this part of it, I'm trying to prepare 1.0, and because of that, it's a lot of heads down, kind of trying to focus, because basically the idea is that I've had up to this point to try to create something that's stable. And when I release this new version, I am nervous about introducing any new major bugs or anything like that, just because I don't want that to be the case. I want this to be the most stable version of the mod and the most long lasting. So I'm going to be trying to keep that focus and keep that head down and try to get through this, and also explain what I'm doing and why as we're going through. So with all that being said, welcome to the chat, and I look forward to hearing from some of you and also hearing your guys' feedback once this is done, if we can get this all done here soon. So first and foremost, lessons learned. We'll go ahead and start off and just say what I learned already. So when I was going through, so again, the last version of this modded file was only it was only around 16,000 lines of code. And as I'm going through and doing this new pool injection, it's slowly shrinking. So I've already gotten rid of around 2,500 lines, and hopefully it'll continue to shrink as I'm going through here. The challenge will be is that it seems like there's a lot of variation, a lot of variety with these. And so what's going to end up happening is as I go through here, and if I can get the difficulty settings hooked up to this, what I think I'm going to do is probably put the difficulty setting configs down at the bottom maybe, because I'm a little worried that this top area is just going to be like, well, I mean, right now it's only, let's see, what do we got here? It is only 434 lines, which is not bad. So, maybe I don't feel as bad. Um, hey, Yoda, how's it going? So, I only got 434 lines of code here. So potentially building out all those variations won't hurt. And so maybe I can continue to build those on without too much concern about bloating this up. But essentially, the idea is that I want to keep the areas of code that were vanilla to the game. I want to try to keep those separated out. I want to try to leave those alone. And the idea is I'm going to try to give one single location for people to go and basically say, I want this zombie in my game. I don't want this zombie in my game until this point, that kind of thing. Because a lot of the feedback that I've been receiving is things like, I hate the balance with this. There's not enough screamers here. There's not enough demolishers here. And essentially, the hope for this is that we be able to identify and document the section of the code that this pull will be affecting, and then basically say like, well, so if we want more banshees, you want 2 times the amount of banshees that you're seeing, you can go in here and set this to 10 instead of 5, and you're done. All that would have to be mixed with this idea that you're also having this entire list. So there's still a probability associated with it, but you should be able to at least get some blend of variation by doing this. So the hope is first I'm going to go through and I have to replace all of these individual lines of code that are unique. Once I replace all of those and get everything lined up to pools, then I can start refining the pools with the information that I want to keep. And then after I get that hooked up, then I'm going to try to expand those pools to where they're difficulty driven. So we'll see how that goes. There's also this consideration of things like, so we want to change the difficulty. So we want to, go from hard mode to easy mode. What does that mean for density? What does that mean for the zombies that are spawned on the map? What does that mean for zombies already spawned on the map? I don't know yet. They have not currently hooked up a lot of this to where it is based on difficulty. If you go down to the sections that are set up with these like easy, medium, I don't know what run through is. I'm assuming that was for developers at one point. But medium, hard, very hard. There's not currently a very hard difficulty in the game. I'm sure there will be soon. And I'm already trying to prepare the mod for that. So hopefully that will help when that actually comes out. And then for splitting these things out, I mean, originally that was just basically there was not much variation here. So it's a question of, did they set up the code to where we can essentially force a reset on all of the populations by switching the difficulty? I don't know yet. But if I can get everything hooked up to a couple of different pulls, then that will be easier to test. That'll be easier to define for the individual users, just because, for example, if someone says there's not enough screamers in this area, then it becomes very easy to just go here and say, okay, no problem. Let's up the amount of screamers in this one section of the game, and that should meet everybody's needs. This will also allow users to go in here. So I'm going to build a list of available zombies so people can go in here and make their own pools, is kind of the hope. I mean, all of this is possible currently with the AI preset pool. I mean, you guys can go and do this at any point. It's just a little bit more difficult considering you make one typo. I mean, that's still going to be a problem, but it's just scattered all over the place with these current pools in here. It takes a long time to go down here and just figure out what the heck they're doing where. And so I'm trying to do that legwork and get ahead of that first so that people can go in here and make their ideal playthrough right away. So without any more monologuing, Yoda, I didn't realize it had been since 0.3 since you played this, man. That's a minute. That's it's at least a couple of weeks. I hope that move is going well. So let's see. Apologize, just get my keys situated here. And let's dive in. All right. So, where we left off. So, what I learned and when I was going with this lessons learned thing is that when you try to manually replace these pools, I was running into all sorts of issues. Basically, if you do one line wrong, uh, then your game breaks, and it is painful to have to step back and go through and say, okay, what did I actually change? What is different? So I can go fix that. And so to help with that, I would recommend. So I've had to do a ton of backups to this file, but essentially the idea is that we replace a couple of pools, we do testing. If it's broken, if it's like a syntax error, you won't get any zombies throughout the game. So it's really interesting. It'll glitch to where it spawns bandits. So bandits will spawn throughout the world. And that's actually part of one of the things that's coming with the new update, which I'm excited about, is that I'm going to try to see if we can make bandits now actually spawn during the day and make zombies spawn at night. That being said, not in interiors. Interiors will be zombie and special infected, and the streets will be littered with PK, different gangs, that kind of thing. I'm going to try to see how that works. I'm excited to see if you have these areas like the military areas that are already flooded with zombies. Those are kind of pre-baked. So because of that, I'm really excited to see if I can get a wave of renegades fighting through zombies at like a military depot. So then it starts to feel like a more immersive world that you're trying to get there before they do, kind of thing. We'll see how it goes. But daytime is supposed to be ruled by the living, and night is supposed to be taken over by the undead. So we'll see if we can fit with the lore here and try to make it a little bit easier to make those types of interactions. Hopefully that would be as simple as lining out a simple pool, and if you want to turn it off, and then unlining that if you want to turn it on. So we'll see. And then oh man, Yoda, I just saw your comment. That is never a more fun experience to get to know whoever you're staying with than getting pulled into a motel together. So I hope that's been going well, man. All right, so on the right side, let me adjust my view here so that you guys can see. So on the right side is essentially just the same cloned view. It's basically just going to be a clone of the same view on the left. The difference is what's on the left is what I'm going to be injecting, and what's on the right is, or rather, on the left is what I will be going line by line and trying to replace. On the right is what I'm replacing it with. So I have my pools over to the right. I have the actual vanilla lines on the left. I'm going to go line by line. I've also started doing more injection through replacement. And what I've learned through this is that doing manual replacement leads to fatigue and eventually leads to error, versus doing a replacement with your actual scripting tools will equal the same code sent throughout, which is good. You don't want it to be the same pool, only slightly different with like a typo. So we want the same thing deployed throughout the entire experience. So that way in the future we can make sure to fix that. But then also that way if there is a syntax error, you find it everywhere and you can replace it everywhere. So that way it's not that one little line out of 16,000 lines that you're trying to find, because that makes for a very, very long evening. I thought I was going to be done with this part of it much sooner, but then I actually I had to backtrack twice. So this has been incredibly slow as far as actually getting this deployed. So I'm going to continue to try to pace myself here and see what we can get. So there are a couple of areas here where they have these like city pools where they have things like biters resting and no weights. And so because of that, I've tried a couple of different things trying to inject things, And some things have worked, some things haven't. That's what also makes this part of it very difficult, is that they have a lot of pools that are kind of doing the same thing. And so because of that, it makes it hard to know which ones they're actually using and which ones are maybe outdated at this point. Because we do have this dark zone resting mix, but then down below we actually have several tiers of dark zone spawns that it I'm not sure which is actually the prevailing spawn. And also, I will say that with some of these different ones here, you see that they are weighted versus ones up above, they're not weighted at all. They're just regular presets, which means they're spawning these in directly every single time. Half of these don't exist. So after reviewing the code, most of the ones in here don't actually exist anymore. Only a couple of these actually exist in the code still. So they're essentially doing a name replacement with the aliasing on these different ones. So not aliasing, aliases. And so because of that, it increasingly gets difficult to say like whether or not these are actually still used. But what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to hook these up to a pool as well. And that way, if they do work, then they'll be easy to expand. If they don't work, then you know, it'll be another pool that won't work. But at least if it's one pool that we can manage, that'll be easier than trying to manage like 17 pools that we have no idea if these work or not. So for the first one, so here's another example of where we got multiple that these don't quite make sense. We have a day and night biters exterior, which by the way, as I'm going through here, let's go ahead and pull up our trusty Sublime and let's go ahead and see if I can find this in the code somewhere. If I can find this in the code somewhere, then maybe that will give me some hope that these things aren't just tossed aside, that these things are actually hooked up somewhere to a prefab or something. Also, as a side note, if you're joining me for the first time on this 1.0 update, so before I've been searching through the entire source code. Now I've actually narrowed that down, now knowing that there are certain folders that do not work. I've narrowed those down to where these are the folders that I know actually work in the logic. So some things don't show up, but that's okay because they didn't work anyway. So false hope. So many times false hope. So we have a day and night biters exterior. My guess for this is that this was an early testing pool that they were using for the transition. I've seen several other places where they do this day and night thing. No, so this is the only place this is seen in the actual logic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and give this kind of the generic. I don't want to give it a night pool because if it is actually supposed to spawn during the day, then the result is we're just going to have a bunch of special infected end up in the day, and then I'm going to get lots of logs or bug reports. So we're going to go ahead and so basically all I'm doing here is going to this line. We're going in here, we're injecting pool, and I'm doing a replace. Now the reason I'm doing these manual is that I know that these don't exist throughout the code. These are one-hit wonders here of where you won't find these anywhere else. And so because of that, we'll just save time and go ahead and inject these manually. So here we go again. We've got a day and night interior. So let's just go ahead and place these pools, cap it off. Really, this is as exciting as it gets. I mean, this is that good stuff of really exciting lines to copy and paste. Sarcasm there. But let's see here. We're going to do our and then they also have this idea of gate building day. They have several places that are called the gates. That I've tried a couple of things before, and it's been kind of hit or miss. And so because of that, it's kind of hard to know whether or not these are being used. Hey, Lucky, thanks for dropping in. So actually, I mean, I'll do the drawn out thing. So I actually started coding way back in 2007, and I started doing C++ and a couple other things more formally with school, and did the whole formal computer science pipeline and all that good stuff. And back then, that was before the dawn of the smartphone. They had games, but it was kind of like game positions were like the most sought after thing you could ever see, and so it was not very likely for me to get into a game company. So I was looking into standard computer science. I could not get into it. I didn't get the like concepts. I just was kind of blanking on some of the different lessons. JavaScript was terrible. And so I just kind of I did it up to 3 years, but then I was like, I can't really get into this as much. And I ended up going military into the Navy, and then years later into design. And now I've finished out my computer science. I'm now doing computer science related projects, and I love it. And so I'd say what the difference is that you have to find something that you feel excited to code, where the code actually makes sense. And if you don't find that thing that it like you can see progress, especially if you're a newcomer, if you're over there coding for Gravity in a new project, you want to code your own game engine and you're literally writing every single line by yourself, it's very likely you're probably going to get burnt out. But if you find a project like a game, or another group of people that are working on a weekend project, I would highly recommend it. I don't think I would ever at this point recommend not getting into code or something related to like hacking things together, just because they make for the best weekend projects. Like I just every weekend there's just something I could be messing with now that I have a better handle on it. And so I can't lie. I mean, it's definitely the way to go. That or design, if you like modeling or art or anything like that. There's just always something that you could be doing with it. Hey, Tom Riddle, thanks for joining, and thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you being a member of the community and jumping on here and watching, and also leaving comments. I appreciate that. So yes, actually, I actually am a game dev now. So I actually work in VR simulation and training, which is not as glorious as or glamorous as game design. But on the weekends, I also do a lot of modding. So I'm actually looking to try to write games in the future. I would absolutely like to write games. The challenge is that you need A, funding, and B, a team. You cannot do everything by yourself. You can if you have the funding, but you need that like good base to really do that. And so I've been very fortunate to be able to build a team in my current company. And so I actually have some designers and some programmers that work with me to write software, and it's so exciting. Like I absolutely love it. I spent all day today in the game engine. So I leave one game and then I come to another game. So I pretty much just write games all the time. I absolutely love it. And so if I can get the funding, if I can get the backing, then I will absolutely write a game in the future. The challenge is can I do that? With funding, but we'll find out. So stay tuned. I'm going to stay tuned as well, and hopefully we'll see. So let's see here. The next one is going to be these rooftops. So we're actually probably going to see a couple of these as we go, but these are still the oddballs before we get down to the ones that are more common. Here we have a tag. So there's two differences, is that in some of the code you have a concept of a difficulty setting, and then inside of parentheses you then have the actual difficulty. They've introduced another system for the pools, which is a tag system. So the tag will specify whether or not it is a easy, hard, whether it's a specific location, whether it's a rooftop, whether it's specials. It'll mix all that up to where you have to figure out which one it is. And so because of that, you have to pay attention to these, because some of these spawners I've learned with the rooftop stuffs in particular, I think it has some variables in there that don't allow certain zombies, only allows certain ones to spawn on the roof. But we're going to try to push that to the bounds, so we'll see. Hey, thank you so much. Yeah, so I spent most of the day developing on a Quest 2. So we've recently switched over to where we're all on Quests now ourselves. And I have been working in Steam VR for the last 4 years and some. And we just recently got the opportunity to switch the team over to the Oculus Quest. And my God, I love the Oculus Quest over Steam. Like night and day, I would develop all day in the Oculus over Steam VR. But we've been having a lot of fun setting some things up in VR. So stay tuned. I'll let you guys know if we go public with anything that you guys could test out. But my website has some demos, but I don't have anything that is very scary or anything that's very interesting in the VR space just yet. Pretty much all my extra time goes to this right now, and some other projects. I have some other exciting things that I'm also working on, but not games yet, but other interesting stuff for sure. So I'm going to take my day pool. So we're saying day exterior. We got rooftop. I've already got a pool for that. So we're going to go over here and we're going to cap this off. And then below it, this is one of the ones where it starts to get funky. So basically we have day exterior, first tag is rooftop, and then the next one is meant for just regular exterior zombies. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that, cap that off. Next, we've got night exterior, night rooftop. Then we've got a night gates, whatever that is. So go ahead and grab this. And that should be the generics. So we've got these ones that I've just replaced. Up above it, we've got some other weird generics that, again, I'm not sure if they're still using or not. I've not, well, actually, I did create some dark zone, created at least one dark zone the other day. Hey, I appreciate that. Well, we'll see. I've been trying to play this one a little bit safer than what I was doing with the first version of the mod, and so we will see if that's something that they are as excited about as I am. But if not, I'll keep making it. They'll keep blocking it, and we'll have a good time doing updates. See me more on YouTube. So let's see. So we have these generic placements. I kind of have to assume some things with some of these because we have resting characters. So over to the right, you can see that I also have these dark zone interiors. I'm spotting where I think I copied this over and I left a few, for example, I don't know if we want backpacks down in there. So I'll actually get rid of the backpacks, the GRE. Sure, maybe not. Well, we'll see about those. The peacekeepers and the scavengers and whatnot. We'll see. And then still going to try to get my custom AI hooked up. I was looking the other day and I think I might have found a new lead for trying to get these guys working in the spawn list. And so we'll give this a shot and see how that goes. But for now, what I'm doing is I'm just leaving them in the pools. So that way, if I get an update that I actually get it working, then I push out that update. You guys now end up with new zombies. So hopefully, yeah, hopefully they're going to work here in the future. And hey, I really appreciate that, Lucky. Thank you for the kind words. I actually It's kind of funny. I actually applied to Techland just recently. They actually had uh, a game developer position open, but their entire website was in what is it? It's not Polish. It's the Netherlands. I forget which or Swedish maybe. I forget. But it was definitely they did not really have a good English translated version, and all of their tools were set up to where I don't really think they're hiring internationally, and so it felt kind of like Yeah. So I did apply. I'm not sure that they were looking for anyone international, but so I threw my hat in there, and I didn't hear anything back yet. But fingers crossed. I have a bit of a portfolio with their work going back to Dead Island, so I could at least talk to them about some stuff. Croatian, oh, okay. Yeah, I think I forget. Um, let's see if I can actually pull up that. Let me see if I can pull up that job application really quick and just show you what that. Let's see. Thank you. We inform you that we will contact only selected candidates. Okay, so they did send like an updated one that basically said like they're only gonna reach out to people that they're considering, which I guess that means not considering, or maybe that was the early one. So let me see if I can actually pull this up and show you guys. It's Polish. It is Polish, and it looks like my registration link has expired. So not really anything interesting to share here. But if I apply, if I apply again, I'll let you guys know. Make sure to show you guys. But yeah, I don't think I got it. So we then have the resting weighted. What's really weird here is that like so for example, this is all vanilla. We have a fighter resting weighted pool, but we actually don't have weighted presets. So it's little things like that that you're sitting there going like, there's just no way that this is still being used. Like this has got to be. All of these are outdated. None of these are being used anymore. But again, we'll just go ahead and do this on everything, so that way in the future, who knows? It'll at least be a little bit one step closer, and if anything, it will shorten the list here. So less lines to trial and error here. So we also have the biter crawler. He's pretty unique, so we're going to leave him alone. Matter of fact, I don't actually think I put the biter crawler in many of these. So kind of the added benefit again, if we want to add a new character, it's not like I have to do anything crazy. Pretty much, we just say like, so where do we want the hobbled guys? So say like day exterior. So stay exterior, we could go in here and have some guys crawling around. I like that. So let's go in here and say crawler. So we've got some crawlers in the game now, really more than before. Probably going to turn that down a little bit just because we probably, I don't know what preset those guys, I mean, I could look it up, but I don't know which visuals they're actually pulling from. If it's a bunch of guys that are all crawling on the ground, then it's not going to be very difficult. So we'll see. I'm going to also add them. We won't do the, well, we will do the night. So that way it's like they just got out of a fight. They're still on the ground, crawling around, trying to get back. So we have our night pool exterior end game here. Also go in here and add them. Night pool interior, day pool rooftops. Let's add some up on the roofs. Well, I don't know if they can fall off. I don't know if the ragdoll actually allows them to fall, so maybe we won't do that one. I'll definitely add them on the interiors, and let's add them on the dark zones as well, so that way they can grab people. So then we've got this biter corpse eating, got these flutters, we've got a dark zone mixed generic. Let's go ahead and just grab this one, and that way we can add in and dark zone resting mix. So we got another one here that doesn't look like it's probably in use, but what the end result is that if you scroll down, you now have these nice clean pools being referenced, and that's it. So you don't have like hundreds of zombies to go through here. So this first one is where we start to go into the dark zone, or the actual pools that I know are getting transferred over to the different ones. So currently, all of these should be the exact same. So I've gone through and added my updates to where I've added more zombies, but I should have added more zombies to every single one of these pools. So in order to help with that, this is how I'm currently doing it. So if we go back up here, let's make sure that this is the most updated one, that it's getting some of these changes I was just adding. So these are the changes that it highlighted there. And then here is the dark zone. So what we're going to do is we'll just grab all of that. We'll go up here and say replace. This will tell me that there are 4 matches like it in the list. And then we can basically go in here and say dark zone easy. Let's go over here and grab our dark zone pool. Got tap on it, and let's just go ahead and hit replace. And so for all of dark zone day, we're done. And again, the nice thing here is that it should be the same across each one of these, so we don't have to worry about those being messed up in the future. All the formatting should be correct. And before I get ahead of myself, I'm actually just going to go ahead and do my due diligence here and start the game up and confirm. It's not as fun to do because to do lots of testing, but believe me, once you have to start playing what did I do wrong, there goes half the evening. So let's just go ahead and launch. Lately, so I turned up some of my settings here, so that does mean that it's gonna like jump a little bit when I first launch. So I do apologize to you guys watching if you get any type of stuttering, anything like that. It should go away after a second there. Also, this is the first time I'm actually using the YouTube streaming, so thank you guys for joining me on here. I really hope it's recording. Hopefully it's recording so that you guys can watch again later. But like I said, it's kind of the first time using this one, so I'm assuming so, but been hurt before. Tom, I've seen your comment here. Too many volatiles at night. I thought it was way too hard. Absolutely, yeah. So one of the things that kind of changed is that the that was coming with the balance where I was trying to get rid of the chase system. So I was trying to look at like a secondary system where essentially the screamers would scream, everything around that area would come flooding towards the player, but then you wouldn't have the like chase code, because once that chase code kicks, they're chasing you. You have to head back to the base. That's it. You have to get under the UV light. And so to try to get rid of that system, I was trying to see like, oh, okay, well maybe I can just have that secondary system, but I'm not entirely sure that I was thrilled with that system just yet. And so we'll see. I see that the system just came back here, so I'll keep talking. I froze there for a second on purpose, so I wasn't saying anything. But yeah, so essentially those were added to the spawns, so that way, if anything was nearby, it would be compiled. It would be composed of all sorts of different zombies, banshees, all sorts of different things, and so that way you would get that good mix. And now that I've added the chase code back, I haven't been able to balance that out exactly how I want just yet. So now I've added that system back. I'm going to continue to look at that to see. As a matter of fact, I had someone request it just the other day of would I consider adding that system back to where you could just disable chase, and sure, absolutely. I'm not sure it's super It's a lot of fun at the start to for the chase system because it gets the blood going, like super intense. But at the same time, if you're out trying to do quests and that kind of thing, it does become repetitive and kind of inconvenient to just die nonstop constantly. And I get that. As you can see now, the balance has changed a little bit. Now it's actually exploders. They're everywhere. Oof. And so something's messed up right now where it's just spawning a constant stream of these exploders. And so I still have to fix that. So now that they're all set to a pool, though, it should be pretty simple. And that's kind of the idea is that that becomes simpler in the future to where I can go and actually correct that at once. So I'm not having to do a bunch of individual things. And so should be good to go. Those exploders make it a little cheesy for sure. So we'll just go ahead and end. Confirmed, the game is working, and the pools are still working. So onward and upward. So next, we're going to go ahead and grab this. Let's go ahead and come in here, do our replace, say search. And essentially, they've got the idea or the concept of Dark Zone Night, but in the original game, it pretty much did the same thing. I think with mine, I haven't done the concept of Dark Zone Day, Dark Zone Night, and so maybe I'll just go ahead and add an additional one. But I guess maybe the thought here is that I feel like the dark zones probably should be less flooded at night because that kind of brings the incentive of going out to dark zones at night, considering the whole city is flooded. It's more dangerous to get to the dark zones at night. So maybe the incentive is getting to the dark zones at night, but then so they're less populated, but at the same time, maybe you have stronger zombies. You have no volatiles. I'm not sure what that looks like yet. So maybe the idea is that maybe during the day, dark zones are flooded with volatiles. In the night, they're not. I don't know. I guess it kind of depends on how much you want to balance this out. But what we'll do is we'll go in here and say interior night, and it's that easy to just make a new pool that we can put everywhere. So for now, let's just go in here and say, actually, I don't even have to remove this. We'll just go in here and say, you know what? These guys are out pissing off all the players. So these guys are actually outside being annoying. So therefore, the interiors are filled with um, basic zombies. I actually like that, considering the original was definitely along those lines. Is that there's nothing but basic zombies. So at least it's form fitting to the original game, but then also adding kind of an incentive for let's go out at night. Um, so let's go ahead and again, the whole idea here is that if people don't like that, they want to make it more difficult, they want to change it. They go in here, they undo some lines. You go in here and just delete two lines, and you're done. So I think that should be a pretty good compromise here of make the game however you want it. Doesn't matter to me. I just want to help everybody figure out how to get the game how they want it. Because it's kind of funny. This is the second one now. I feel like I've been around when people have started saying like, "Oh man, this is not the game I paid for. Game needs to be better." I agree, and I would like to see everybody get the game that they wanted when they paid for it. But I will say with the patches and everything, that usually goes away. Most people really liked Dying Light 1 after the Pursuit came out. I felt like I myself was not in that group. I felt like I liked it more before that point. But when I go back to it, so when I get back to Dying Light 1 after I finish with 1.0, I'm really excited because I started thinking about like all the different quests and all the different things that were actually really intense, really creepy, and I'm really excited to go and try to make those more intense again, and we'll see how that turns out. it also becomes one of those things where like you have to feel the vibes of everybody. We've got a pretty good community on the Discord now, so if you haven't been a part of the Discord yet, I would highly recommend jumping on the Discord group and talking to everybody. They've got a really nice mix of people that have lots of great feelings and thoughts about the game that are happy to contribute feedback. And so, if you're trying to make a mod or you're interested in what the community thinks as a whole, it's a great place to go. So let's see here. Matter of fact, when I go to edit, I can't add a description. So actually, I'm going to go on here really quickly. And just so that you guys have access to those links, let me go in here and actually add those to the list here. And that way you guys can get to those. And I'm assuming it will save this, considering it's basically asking me all the things I want to save about this video after it's done. So I'm assuming it will save okay. Let's see. Let's go ahead and hit save here. There we go. All right, so you should be able to go to the description now, get to all those links if you have any questions or want to follow up with people. So next we have the hive. So I've been a little confused about the hives before. I do feel like the hives, for a while, I thought that they were where the chasers were jumping out of during a chase. Then I thought they were dark zones. Compared to the first game, you know, they used to be underneath the tunnels and the darker areas out in the day. But I don't think that that's the case now. I'm not actually quite sure. If you guys have an updated term of what you think the hive is, make sure to leave it in the comments section. But basically, I think last time I started testing, this was essentially also dark zones. So I'm not entirely sure what was intended for the hives. Maybe a future DLC as well. Okay, so for now, we're going to go in here. So we have the day pool flooded. Let's go in here and actually add another line where let's actually take the hive or the dark zone interior code. And it looks like these are the alarmed characters. So that's what led me to believe that this was like the ones that would chase you is the alarmed code here or tag here. When I search through the code, this actually is the one that resonates with the chase system because the chase system is all hidden. You can actually modify that. I've had to create my own workaround with the chase system. And so the alarmed line there led me to believe that this is the actual chase code, but I could be wrong here. But we will see. So let's go and add another line here, and we will call this hive, and we'll keep that at night. And with hive interior, we are basically going to up our creepies. So currently, I think everybody is saying the goons are the creepiest, along with the volatiles. Let's see if we can help with that. Let's get rid of some of these additional ones. We probably don't need any like armoreds coming out of there. We definitely don't need like the weak or the crawlers. We want regular biters, extra large. We want these gas tanks. And let's get rid of the sleepers, the resters, and we should be good. So then let's go here. I don't think these are actually, no, they're not going to be the same. So let's go ahead and just do a manual replace. Again, I hate to do this, but being super careful. I'm live. You guys will see me make a mistake. You guys will all unsubscribe and put me to shame. So it's keeping me awake. All right, so then we have the day exterior hive. Go below this and say exterior. No, exterior. This should have been day, right? I told you I was awake, but then I made a mistake. Day. Okay, so then they also have this concept of, again, so we've got alarmed night, and now we've got this night exterior hive. For the night exterior, I'm actually, for the hive, I think I'm going to actually take the dark zone code and copy this dark zone code and make this our hive exterior day, hive exterior night. I'm making it shorter, but it's not that much shorter because I'm adding all of these lines back. But hopefully in the end here we'll shed quite a few different ones. With the rooftop. See, I hate this sometimes because now we have to go and create like specials. But what I might do is we'll go up here to our hive exterior, and at the very top here, we've got these night pools. And what I might do is just take the night pool end game and just put that right here. So that way it'll pull in our specials list here. Um, yeah, actually, I'm okay with most of these on the roof at this point. The spitters have actually ended up really fun on the roof. The banshees should definitely be up high. Bolters, yes. Demolishers, now that they run, climb, crawl, throw on the roof. Chargers, it's probably a little bit less likely considering they don't climb. Goons as well. I think we're going to have to make another list. Trying to keep it thin here, but I think we're going to have to make another list here. And so this is kind of the area where it starts to be a little bit more gray area on, is this, an acceptable number of pools, or am I also making a larger list? But at the same time, I think the bigger thing is that I really want this centralized location where we can go fix everything. So we're not crawling all over the files here looking for our solution. So let's go in here and say pool. And then we have the dust area, whatever that is. Looks like this is mainly a few zombies and specials. An outdated backpack. Survivor viral. I think I actually know what the dust area is, but I'm not sure this pool made it in. All right, so we did find that. That is going to be in the AI life. Let's go here, find, and that is in the actual dust area. So this one made it in. So also that means that Hmm. Sorry, I just was having a momentary thought of how bad do I want to make this. Um, Technically, and hear me out. So technically, what we currently have is that the area file is going in and assigning where the different pools are being spawned. If I wanted to, I could go in here and basically change some of these values to where they were pointing at my pool rather than the game's pool. That would save time with trying to go and replace each one of these. The challenge with that is, and the thing I'm concerned about, is that if you miss one, then the game will break. It's not like and the challenge is that I don't think I could delete the ones from this AI list. Those would need to stay in case other code was pointing at them. So I think it's safer to go in here and replace what's in the pool rather than reassigning which pools are pointing to what. But if I wanted to really just make that better, I could just, say, okay, well, I don't know about better, but if I wanted to make those another system that was basically directly accounted for by the mod and taken over completely, we could go to the area settings and basically reroute every single one of these pools straight to my pool. So that way we have a pool party. No, but that way we could make this a little bit cleaner so it's not, but I don't have I was looking at this like, oh, maybe I can go in here and actually point this file to a different location. Like I can make a secondary um, AI preset pools or something like that, and then have it pull in that information. But it doesn't really give that option. And so we're going to have to be creative about this area settings. This is where I'm going to be next. So before 1.0 comes out, I have a couple more custom encounters and that kind of thing I haven't put out yet. But this is all going to go through a reconstruction as well. So I'm excited to get to this file as well, but that one's next. So to get back to this, because I'm getting all the way distracted, we are then going to go up here and say above flooded. This is the night exterior. So let's go up and grab our night exterior. And this is the fog area. That's what this is. So this is the end game, which is why people have reported so many different corruptors because it's on 15% right now. So to help with that, I'm gonna go and call this. I don't know if fog is appropriate. I'm gonna just call it fog. I think everybody would get what I'm talking about. Because it also forces it to night as well as poor Alex has pointed out on Discord. Um, So say dust exterior fog level. And in here, we will keep the corruptors, but we will pull them down to like 5% because I know how much everybody was loving the loving all of the different ones. But let's also be a little inventive here about our other ones. So let's pull them down to 5. Let's push our other ones up. Our screamers, our spitters, good old spitters, our suiciders, volatiles, and my poor banshee child. Let's see if she ever shows up. Fingers crossed. Then we need to now inject this. Space that out a little bit there. And here's our epilogue. So I went through the epilogue and added a bunch of things. They still have a couple of outdated ones in here. They still have like the guy with a weapon, which I keep being interested to see if they bring the weapon guy back. I know a few people have requested that they bring the weapon people back. I looked at their attachment code. They have some interesting code written for weapon attachments and armor, but all of them are not turned on. So I have looked into turning them on, but I have not had enough time yet. So I will look at that again, but potentially we could have our biter weapons back here shortly. So we'll go ahead and throw our end game logic here. So whatever you guys write for the end game, go ahead and assume that that will work for the epilogue as well. So this is also going to be our day pool. Let's actually pull this one up really quick and go down to epilogue and see what they have in here. Because I know I probably added a couple of things, but let's go in here and say so for their epilogue, they have a biter, the backpack, banshee, spitter, corruptor, corruptors turned off, charger, and suicider. Boring. So let's say. So I think all of these could be the day based on this. The backpacks are usually out at night though. Let's go in here and look at what calls epilogue in the area settings. So if we go to AI life, area settings, epilogue, night, and day. Okay, well, just confirming that. So give them the end game night pool. Okay, before we do the GRE, I'm going to do my due diligence again and just test, make sure I didn't miss anything. I know when I'm sitting here talking, I can sometimes overlook things. So let's see. And then I guess I just realized that it hasn't set up a name for this one that it's using. So it didn't use my actual streaming host to set that name. So I apologize that that was set up as my own name there. Outstanding. Okay. So that is working. Again, we're not trying to balance just yet. Please ignore gameplay there. It's just to make sure that these pools are all actually working as expected. And I'll be dialing these in here shortly. But for now, we don't have to do as much work because we're just trying to implement the pool system down below. Okay. And hopefully you guys are still seeing this okay. It does give me a warning here saying, oh, okay, yeah, that was when I opened it. Hopefully you guys are still seeing me okay. Please reach out if you are currently getting poor signal, but according to this, it looks like it's running okay. So let's see. Next, we are going to do the GRE. So we have the dark zone night, dark zone interiors. Basically, let's just grab the dark zone interior. Let's go down below hive, below dust, and I guess we'll do before flooded. So we have the flooded there at the end. So we've got our GRE. Yeah, of course. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, so I've been using Twitch for a while there, but my following, most people want to see actual games. They don't want to see people doing this, and so it's kind of been okay. But basically, I'm having to then export from Twitch over to here. I figured it'd just be easier to stream out here, and I'm glad this is actually working for you guys. So essentially, we have berserkers. We have these guys resting, and what we'll do is to give people the option to go in here and add stuff as they want. Let's just go in here. Let's create a couple of virals running through the building as well. Fighters resting. We have GREs. It's like they're doing the resting variant, so we'll get rid of the actual GRE biters here. Let's keep the explosive tank guy in there. And that way we can get rid of chemicals, get rid of these other guys. And I'm actually going to go ahead and turn off my zombies for this one. And also, banshees didn't make sense in there. Chargers don't make sense in there. Goons. We'll leave that up to the up to you guys, depending on what you want on those interiors. Don't want to make that a bad experience. So then, for the night, we then have night interior. Basically, I'm going to turn volatiles back on. Let's go in here and set that to 25 like I have it. People have been pretty responsive with this loadout so far. I haven't actually had anybody get frustrated or any complaints about the actual interior in the GRE. Goons, I'm careful of just because of the size of the hallways. Chargers will turn back on, and that way we'll leave this like this. And after I do this next check, I'm going to actually also go and do a backup. So interesting enough, they have the special pool for gas tanks. These are weighted. It's weighted against itself. I'm gonna actually leave that one alone. Um, I do want to try to make these as straightforward as possible, but essentially by making these guys spawn everywhere else, I think for whatever storytelling purposes, we'll leave the gas tank guys alone here. And then the exteriors, it's the day exterior, which looks like we ended up with volatiles during the day, which could have been why we had that error. Look at that. There's a typo that's flowing around with us. Could have been fun. Save. So then we have our interior night, interior. So we want our day exterior. I'll actually grab this one. And for this one, I'm happy to turn on some goons and some chargers, maybe a banshee, but we probably don't need the rest in there. And then here we have our night exterior. And let's actually turn back over to the default and just see what they have in place here. They had only the GRE and then screamers. So they had screamers in there. Okay. So let's go in and say night exterior. And then for the specials, I think they're pretty much exactly what I think they're pretty much the same as the list up here. So like the night pool special, except the corruptors. Matter of fact, that means here with the end game, I need to actually add some corruptors to that. And let's see, so for this here, we'll go back down. GRE exterior night. This. We'll just go ahead and copy some of their values here. We'll cheat on the test. And Demolisher, Bolter, Banshee, Screamer, which they actually had. If we go over to the default, they had the Screamer at 80%. So Screamers are supposed to be pretty common here. So let's go ahead and also get rid of our suiciders here, just because I've heard many people complain. Maybe when they bring guns back, maybe that'll be better, but we don't want to make that too annoying for anybody. Okay, so let's go in here, say pool, night, and then I think right after this, we should be good. So let's go in here and say day to night transition is going to be the daytime, which actually right here, day pool exterior. Okay. And then the specials. So yeah, there's a couple of places here. More than likely, they're not going to be the same though. Let's see where else this shows up really quick. Go in here and say place. And then these are going to be the all the way at the top, the night pool specials. One match. Hate it when that happens. So that's pretty much it. But we can go up here to the next one, which is the day exterior. Check for that. Reload. The day pool specials. So during the day, we want banshees. We don't want bolters, demolishers, chargers, goons, not screamers, not spitters, suiciders, not volatiles. And this is the streets, so this is not the interiors. Okay. Save here. And then down here under the streets, I'm a little nervous about this whole thing here, unless it finds other ones. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go up and grab all the way to the tag rooftop. So that way it at least gives me the additional cushion here that if it finds any other ones, it will also go and do this. So say replace all. Only found the one. Day pool special. The typo and a half waiting to happen. So what we need to do here is come in here and say yeah, followed up on that one. That was about to be a really dumb one. Let's see. So day pool specials place. No matches found because of course not. Because it's replace everything. There we go. So replace all. Ends up with our specials in the right place. Let's go lower. Night pools. And what's interesting is that some of these don't. It's actually the only one that has special in the daytime, which I find really strange. So if we go in here and say day has a rooftop, Huh. Interesting that they also don't have special tags. Maybe something worth investigating later. But so the end result here is that we should be down to the night pool exteriors. Okay. Yeah. So if we go up here to day exterior end to that's going to be down. So day pool exterior end game. Day pool rooftop. And let's just go ahead and give it the Okay. And then let's definitely go test. So after this, it's going to be the actual region areas. And so we'll actually start crawling through the regions. I'm hoping that'll be a little bit more straightforward just because that should be easy to replace, but we're going to find out. So let's go and test really quick, confirm everything's still working. And then we will do a backup on Git, just so that way we can save our place as we go forward. Because that pretty much replaced almost every generic before the actual region code. So now we're getting into the actual regions, which will be a little bit more tricky. And we have not split this out into difficulty yet. So we have so that's how I was doing. Oop, apologize when it's doing that little startup thing where it lags out there for a second. So to restate what I was saying there, once I've established those spawn pools, you can then use those to build on. So that's how I was injecting or attempting to inject some of my custom zombies, is essentially identifying lines that you know you want to replace and then adding code onto those lines. So if we're doing something along those lines, then we can find like all the day pools and say like, okay, replace day pools with day pools easy, day pools medium, day pools hard, etc., etc. So that way we can essentially add the difficulty settings in there as well. Here and take a look. All of our zombies are here. So slow and steady wins the race. Looks like we're still in business. All right. So let's just go ahead and do a backup here. As you can see, that's quite a few lines of code here. So this is now generic rules down to regions. I think I just pushed out a typo there, but okay. So that has now been pushed out. We are good. So let's continue on. So essentially with the starting area, so this is the region 1, and let's go confirm with our area settings, but I think essentially this is like way back, so like when you're first starting. And that's probably why. So the other day I had one of the guys on the Discord mention that they ran into a volatile very early on in the game. Yeah, sorry about that. That's probably from this line right here, where I've turned them on those first few regions. I'm actually, they made it sound like it was a pretty good experience, but I'm trying to think where else in the game you would have kind of your first encounter with the virals, not virals, volatiles. I actually don't mind that you see one that soon. That will definitely let you know what you're up against. I'm going to leave that for now, but have a note in there that now I know why he was getting it right there at the start. But hopefully that scares enough people to enjoy the mod. So let's go back here. Starting with the rooftop for the starting area. Basically, we want, I mean, this is our first good use case of difficulty. So what I'm going to do is now we have our generic pools here. See, quite a few, and we're going to keep on using those. But what I'm going to do is down here, we're now going to say difficulty pools. Region based. I don't know if it would be region based as much as it would be. So that's why they're doing the simple zombies. From my very first experience playing this game, I recorded. Did I get that on video? It was literally the very first zombie I ran into in the game. When you're first getting up to the cabin down by the lake, you're walking up and he's eating someone right there in the middle of the ground, right? And he stood up, he saw me, he started walking towards me, and then he glitched and he started walking in circles, and then he walked back to the dead body. He then walked in circles around the dead body, and then he went back to eating. And I remember that was like my first encounter with the zombies in this game. And I was immediately just like, oh yeah, we got some work to do. Um, so they're doing these biter simple one hits, and basically the logic on these guys is designed for the first encounters, I'm guessing. So they really are geared towards, allowing the player to just get in there and experience the zombies and then move on. The challenge with this is recently I just deleted where I modify these characters, and they're supposed to be runners now too. But the challenge is that for the first beginning part of the game, I'm not even sure that you have the weapons needed to kind of survive this part of the story. Um, which I always thought was kind of weird because I'm actually thinking about modifying the start of the game to where you start with a simple machete or something, because he is traveling from another region, so he should probably have like a weapon that makes sense, a singular weapon to kill the banshee and all of that at the very start. Especially now that I've made her so damn difficult, beating her to death with a pipe is probably pretty annoying. Um, so I'll have to look into that. But essentially, the reason I dove into this is because I see this character and I kind of want to replace these, but at the same time, these guys might be pretty critical for easy difficulty, so that players that really do want a good mix of zombies that are not running after them, that those are present in the game. And now that I think about it, these could be our slow moving idiots, the spawn pools. Have not injected them yet, and I haven't really used them much, but that's mainly because I don't like them. But let's see here. If we go and we say, let me tag this for 2000. So yeah, they're not present in any of my changes. I've eradicated the dumb zombies. So actually, I think that might help with having the runners and then having the slow movers. Is that if you guys want your slow movers, you'll have your slow movers in there too. Um, the difficult part is I'll also look at their health, but the problem then it would be about the starting levels and all that good stuff. But let me read this comment. Tom Riddle left. Had fun with Volatile yesterday. Yeah, so hopefully this will balance out a little bit of that initial volatile madness. So I apologize for the early heart attacks, but it's definitely more fun if you're playing with people, so that you guys can hopefully team up and take them out together. So let's go in here and basically what I'm gonna do, and this is an example of how it becomes easier once you kind of take over these files. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and I'm gonna inject these slow movers, and this is how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna basically go and find all of our um, fighters weak. I think probably weak. Let's go over to our here and let's go up and say, I mean, most of these should normally be 100%, especially at night. Let me see what I got them at the daytime. It's probably that 30. No, it's 100. So let's go in here and say biter 100. Say find and replace. Say biter 100. Oop, biter 100. And then down below it, we will paste in biter simple. And actually what we'll do here is we'll just do this, save some time, copy that. Oh yeah. So we got 94 matches. Let's go ahead and say replace. You end up with this one line that is, looks like it messed up my lines. So let's go and fix that. Find replace. Yeah. And let's also go in here and say biter. Also grab our normal biters, or our biters level 50 or 50%. Let's get our 25 percenters. Rematches. Why didn't we get that one? Place 30%. Place all. Oh, there we go. Simple hit. Simple hit. And I think we should probably be pretty solid now. Yeah. So essentially, this will put the slow movers throughout the game. Tom, actually, while I got you on the line, I'll ask you about that. So I can actually pull the game up right now, and maybe it's just me with the crossbow. So with the late game crossbow, that thing feels, because of their hitboxes. I mean, I can pretty much aim like probably that far away from their heads and still get headshots, kind of thing. And so what I found with the crossbows is that I basically, if I got like a whole line of zombies falling behind me, I can just kind of sit there and mow through the line. And here soon, I'm planning on, for the crossbow, I'm planning on making it to where it actually, the bullets penetrate, so that way you have an incentive to use the crossbow versus the bow and arrow. But I'm going to try to nerf it a little bit to where the fire rate, is down or something. Like, it just feels too OP to me. But I'm sure that's going to frustrate a lot of people. So I'll stand by for lots of feedback on the weapon systems. Um, so the crossbows later on is one of the decisions. I won't ruin anything. For the bow, so speak to me about the bow. When you say it feels very weak, one of the things I've added was I tried to do boost damage to the head. So if you do a headshot with the bow, you should have now 4 times the amount of damage than the vanilla. So you at least should be able to do some pretty solid damage to the head. But what are some of the things that you feel frustrated about with the bow? Lay it on me. What you got? That's interesting. Makes me a little nervous. So it looks like it got rid of my two lines there that I just had. It just undid those difficulty pulls that I just, well, I didn't make anything yet, but I just did this. Say difficulty pulls. You're saying it's 2 week, low damage. I think in the future it'd be interesting to look at possibly to where it actually causes their limbs to not work correctly. Um, 40 bow, 3 hit, kill zombie headshots. Oof. Um, did the damage multiplier? So I'm assuming you're playing with I Am Legion Reborn, and it's still that way. I mean, I think it would have to be. You just said that you guys were dealing with volatiles, so I'm pretty sure you would have to be. So are you using any additional mods, or just the first, or just mine? Well, I guess the better question is any weapon mods or any damage mods that you can think of. I've asked too many questions to know what yes means at this point. Sorry about that. Um, let's see. So starting with the rooftops. So basically, I think what I want to do here is I want to make the first concept of easy difficulty, um, so that I can start fleshing out some of these starting areas with starting area level pools. So that way, for early users, they're not up against so many crazy infected. And so let's see how that looks. So basically, let's go in here and say getting started roof. It's the first one. And let's basically make this a low percent chance for a Zerk. Let's turn, well, actually, let's just go ahead and save those guys for fun later. And we'll just go ahead and get rid of the specials. So that way you just have regular zombies here. And I actually might be able to get rid of the roof tag and just say getting started for now, just because I don't think I'm going to do any specials in here. Um, it's only going to be like these starter zombies, so that people can be up against. Basically, the way this should flush out is that you have a majority of walkers, you have a couple of runners, and then you have like a really bad runner, really intense runner. Um, I would put the XL guys in there right now, but that might also cause some difficulty for the early levels. So let's just see how much real estate this gives us. So that next one, they're also using the same thing. So let's see. Let's go in here and say and init say hand flavored spike let's go ahead and just change these to where these are also getting that pool. So that way, if you guys update the pool, you're more likely to get. And is this a? Hey Tom, I see your messages over there. Is that with a early tier bow, or is that with like a later tier? So all of these will be based on the getting started code, and basically looks like I put volatiles at 100% for getting started. Welcome to the game. I'm gonna go in here and change some of this to where the new players have a little bit more time to get accustomed to the game, so that it's not so intense. And basically, this will allow people that want to start a new game and make this more difficult. Basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start going through here, and with each one of the difficulties, I'm going to essentially set this up to where this will be easy mode is like the getting started. If you set your difficulty to medium, hard, that kind of thing, it should switch off of this. So this shouldn't apply to people that want to play a harder game all the way through. This is. Oh wow. Okay, I see your message there, Tom. Um, okay, so it sounds like I need to go through and redo the bow damage a little bit, and make that a little bit more deadly. I think the challenge is that it sounds like I need to go through and redo headshot damage because I'm one of those lore zombie players that if you shoot them in the arm they shouldn't die kind of thing. So I don't want you doing like 5,000 damage to their arm and it somehow killing them. I guess is my point there. Um. So then we have the actual area when you are first starting the game. So you've exited the getting started area and you're now in the actual game. So we'll go ahead and dial this up. And basically, I think what I want to do is trying to think what will cause me less pain and suffering in the long run here. If I go through and I set up all of these to where these are all defaults for easy difficulty, or maybe hard difficulty, then it might be easier to go in there and set up the easy difficulties and the medium difficulties afterwards. Currently, I'm doing like a mix, and I think I want to try to stay away from the mix here. That being said, technically, by adding the Zerkers and also adding the density update and the runners, technically the beginning would probably be pretty intense with just the runners. If they're playing casual difficulty, I'm not sure that's going to be the case. But if they're playing casual, then that's if I keep casual. If we have the simple one hit zombies earlier on, then we might not need the runners. Or we might not need, sorry, we might not need the split if I can set this up right. to where if we have the simple one hit here. So if we go and say AI, okay. Let me look at something really quick. So if we go in here and say biter simple one hit, and we go over to our resets, logic, human AI, biters. Quick, let me go over to the perception profiles. Interesting. So those preset files are just becoming more and more notorious for not actually working. Some of these files don't exist. Some of the things that they claim are in here aren't actually here. So I'm a little nervous now that that's not going to work. I guess let's find out. Well, first let me replace everything. I replace everything. I have to re-replace everything. Let's confirm something really quick here. So if we go over here to the Nexus, I'm going to look up save games really quick here for Dying Light 2. I'm looking for the one that brings us up to the very first area there, past the prologue. And basically, we're just going to go through here and grab the save game. Currently, I'm like at the very, very end of the whole thing, and it makes it a little bit harder to do early game testing, but I can now switch between the late game and the beginning of the game. So let's go in here and say we are looking for Steam library. No, we're not. We're looking for D drive, Steam. that is 0. Get this injected in. So basically what I want to do is to test this out. This will also tell us if it's based on region or not. I guess it won't tell us that much because I already have the different. Well, actually, I can go ahead and confirm that with a lot of these, it's using the generic. Um, it's using the generic ones up above. It's not actually using some of these. You can see with the area settings that it's not actually moving forward. No, I think I agree with you, Tom. I think that it was stronger, and we can balance that out for sure. That's definitely something that I'm trying to bring into 1.0 is more realistic weaponry to kind of counterbalance everything. I think the challenge with that is going to be that it is going to be more realistic, but I don't know if that's going to be how everybody wants their weapons to behave. I mean, I'm going to try to make them realistic as possible, but sometimes that's a little bit uh, more difficult because people want it to basically just be slaughter. So maybe we'll also tie that to difficulty. Um, so essentially, what I need to look at is they have these different region ones, and that's pretty much actually. I mean, that's it. So once you get down here, these are all the human bulls, and then way down here at the bottom, we've got some more ones. So that's pretty much it. And down here, they've got this biter prologue, which maybe that's the one that is a zombie that's the walker. So you know, let's actually go up here and let's find out because I got the male and female right there. That's the only places I've ever really seen them. So yeah, let's inject these real quick. So we go up here to our fighter simple hit here. They should be pretty well added to the list here. And then place. Let's give it some conditions here so it's not doing anything too difficult. It's not going and replacing code everywhere in this entire list. Prologue here. Place to 100. All. I think the last one was 70. Was it 70? 30. I think I see them in enough groups here that we should start to get them spawning into the game. So let's go ahead and get save here. Hey Yoda. Yeah. So actually, a couple of people have asked for that. I'm still nervous about that one. I mean, I feel like you go in there and make every enemy drop their actual weapons that they're using, and I do like that concept. But like for example, I'm getting ready to make the days full of renegades. So if everybody is dropping weapons, those renegades are all dropping weapons, then I feel like you're gonna have some heavy weaponry. Like you're gonna have so much weaponry, and I would feel like if I made the crafting system, that would be really rewarding because then you could take the weapons back, you could turn them into like different things. But if you're just dumping like weapon after weapon after weapon, and people can pick those up, I mean, it is fun if they kind of like. I kind of like the idea. If I did that, I would probably want to like make it to where you get the weapon, it you already pick it up at like damage quality so that you get a bunch of weapons that you get in like a couple of good hits kind of thing, and then just keep dropping them, keep picking them up, dropping them, picking them up, dropping them. I think that could be an interesting gameplay style, but I just think that like I feel like you would end up with a backpack full of weapons. I feel like it would just be oversaturated with tons of weapons. Not that that's a bad thing. I mean, you are playing a survivor game, so maybe that's an added bonus is that they do that. So let's go in here and say upload, and let's jump back in. Yeah, of course. No, I mean it all sounds fun. I think the challenge is that how do you update like every time you change one of those systems it becomes like easier to see where you have other systems that are missing to help with some of that. It's like you wish that there was like more bows and that kind of thing in the game, but then also then if you had more bows and they all do the same damage, then it's down to like an aesthetics thing. So do they have different models and like is it the same damn bow over and over again? You know what I mean? I don't know if you played many of those games where it just really is like everything is just kind of recycled. But I think the idea is like how can you do that to where it doesn't make the game feel like it's has less in it. I just noticed that my compass does it usually not work indoors? It just did something, so it's working. That's interesting though. Something strange here. Well, it's not strange. It's just because it's oh, why do we have a high level goon and low level? They didn't like. Yeah, so I guess they used cheats to level you up to where. Okay, it's interesting. So are these the one hits? Because they sure seem to be going down with one hit. Maybe it's just because I have legendary weapons for whatever reason. Or I like this whole new game plus thing. But so I don't see any walkers, so I don't think the prologue zombies necessarily worked here. The interiors are definitely not correct here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to probably switch this to where it's a little bit more realistic. I think right now with the high level items, it's a little bit hard to know whether or not certain things are working. And also, I would argue that if there is a high tier goon out here, then this might actually not be a low level environment here. But so there's a couple of things here. So obviously the interiors are not currently spawning correctly. Let's move to another interior area. Confirm that. Yikes. So as you can see, there are definitely some things wrong here. So the military area spawned. Nothing else is spawning. Yeah, so the pre-baked prefabs are spawning, but the normal areas are not. This is what I was referring to earlier when I was saying that so temperamental is that obviously I should have. I mean, I feel like maybe if I load up that other game, we'll see if this is still the case on the like later area, but obviously the run throughs aren't working anymore. And I don't know whether or not it's because of the prologue zombies. Potentially because of the prologue zombies. Yeah. Obviously, we got a little bit of a problem. So, yeah, that was the thing with Fallout is that you could end up with like hundreds of the same weapons, but you could scrap them. So, you know, if you needed parts, you could scrap them down and get whatever parts you needed, which helped. So, added the getting started code, and then I added these different types of zombies along with the difficulty pools. I guess the question is did so let's go in here and say show in File Explorer, drag a copy onto the desktop. We'll go ahead and discard the change. So this should put us back to the point that we tested earlier. We can then pull open our code here. And all of this should be under the scripts folder. So let's just go ahead and copy that over and launch again. Yeah, so that's the grapple hook. It's super obnoxious. I was trying to look in the code the other day to remove that. So I wasn't able to find it then, but I'm going to try to keep looking because personally I'm not a big fan of the 100% alpha grapple icon, and they don't really seem to have a toggle for that anywhere. Yeah, exactly. The fact that it attaches to everything in the entire game makes that a little bit less desirable in my book. So we have some zombies. It's not like zombies aren't spawning, but at the same time, obviously this isn't right. Let's go look at some interiors and that kind of thing. The walkthroughs. I mean, I guess this could be right if it's using my. Oh, well, actually, maybe I just needed to go around the block kind of thing. Hey, boys. So it might come down to the fact that interesting. So the zombies are working, and this is back before I put on the low levels. So for whatever reason, the interior zombies are not working. And I think basically adding those prologue zombies seemed to cause the system to freak out. So I'm sure we can do that in the future. Perfect timing. Did he do his little reinforcement? signaled that he was going to do it. I was wondering the other day, I think he wasn't able to do it because I've added a secondary possibility for looks like they're doing a good job of not only latching. I mean, they're still paying attention. They're still paying attention to me, which is I think based on their like look at code. But I think they're doing a better job of fighting instead of just hyper focusing. He got overwhelmed. He got overwhelmed. All right, let's check the night code really quick. I do find it funny that you can't actually like look at this. Like no one felt that the players should be able to die from the spikes. They won't die themselves, so hang on, let me assist them. Actually, I can't believe that. I feel like that's got to be a glitch. Like back to the like default spawn levels. Okay. So maybe it is the simple one hit that's messing everything up. I feel like this wasn't a problem before with the interiors. Now we're getting blanks. Okay. So interesting when the spawn code decides to work. So we have now arrived where the spawn code is working. Behind us, here's where it's not working, so it hasn't filled in anything yet. And then right over here, it's filled in the whole city. Okay, so let's go and confirm. It's looking pretty treacherous down there. Say yes, it does work. Okay, so now let's say, what's a good interior to test? Crap. Probably the one back behind me. Yes. Do it. Yeah. So the interiors are just emptied out, which means the spawn code is working. According to this, I mean, you can see that there's a good amount of zombies now on the map. Yikes. Including our volatile buddies. For whatever reason, interiors do not work. Love it. I'm in my home. Okay. So we've confirmed night works, obviously works. So whatever the cause for the night code works, so let's try to clean up our code here. Let's get rid of the prologgers. I'll swoop here. Let's see if we can go in here and just say header files. It's say 30. Should have actually gotten them. No rest for the wicked. He got bitten while he was out. You never know. You can't let those guys back in. Let's see, replace this all. All right, so that should shore up, fix our code. See, that's the problem. I got excited by, oh, hey, look at this. This should work. And now we've got a bug. So that's my lesson. All right, grab our scripts, back in. Night code works. Good. That should end it all. Go ahead and use certain distances that, no matter how talented you are at jumping, I'm not sure I believe that you would pull through. Interesting. I mean, that being said, there's still kind of some missing areas here. I wonder if it had to do with my crawler. That was another one that I added out of the goodness of my heart. Now we've got empty streets and one stupid crawler. Okay. So we've confirmed that it was not that part of it. So once again, kind of a dial back thing here. Let's open up our old file and drop that in and confirm nothing else has broken somehow. Gonna have to start wrapping it up for the night, which sucks that I didn't get much further on. This one system is definitely taking a while, and we haven't introduced difficulty into it yet. Let's see. Oh, that's fun. I haven't actually tried to burn something and then revive at dawn. Obviously, interior spawns are working. Um, so probably what I'll do here is take the code and look at okay, so what I want to do here is I want to take the original code, not the original code, but the code from the latest version, and we're going to pull that up as a temp file here. We're going to go find one of the interiors. Basically here, we'll also find the interior. Night pool, day pool. And then to test, let's grab this, copy this. And then that should, assuming that everything is hooked up properly, this should fix it. And this is kind of the whole point for doing this long restructuring of the system, is that technically, instead of now I've got 15 places that this is a problem, now I only have one place that this is a problem. Technically, I should be able to correct the one pool, and that should fix it everywhere. And that's kind of the hope, is for balancing and getting this dialed in. What I could do. Hey Tom, thanks for being on the stream tonight and giving me your feedback, and also sharing the thing about the bow. I'll continue to look at that stuff. But I appreciate it, man. Hope you have a good night, and look forward to your feedback when this finally releases. Kind of like a momentum exchange. Interesting. So potentially a syntax error, which is only affecting the interior zombie. So I don't think it's a matter of fixing the list necessarily as much as it is finding what happened to the interior code. So I'm going to have to go through, I guess, if it really is an error with, and maybe it's an issue with this. I did go through and make the changes to those first few pools. And I'm glad I searched that because technically, if we open up, let's say biter resting, just for shits and giggles here, add back a couple of the ones that, because these are all interior files. Go in here and grab all the ones that I've placed here down to dark zone mixed. Go like that. And if this works, that will actually mean that the zombies are not coming from the weighted lists on the interiors, that they're instead coming from those files that were listed there previously, which is interesting if that is the case. land on a swing. Kill me, but I'll kill you. See if I respawn and it basically that's exactly what happened. So they've got some interesting code in here that's basically despawning certain zombies. So that actually gives me hope that if I do get this difficulty system working. Nope. Interesting. Okay. Well, is the unless it's these date pool interiors. I just realized I have the day and night interior right there. Let's go ahead and it wouldn't be crazy if it turns out that they're using these top ones actually for the whole game, that all these other ones below are just not used at all. Let's see, gate building, day building. Again, I guess the bonus of this is that we'll get to the bottom of like what is actually the one that's spawning them into the buildings. Did it again. Also curious if it ever. It's crazy the amount of distance this thing gets sometimes. Unless this is like the leveled up all the way. Well, so say to the bottom of it. I'm actually now more hopeful that all of this will lead to the actual typo. And that's it. So what I might do is I might go through here really quickly and place everything back with a interior. So like if we go here, we find all these, we say replace, and then let's go in here and select all of this. Only need this. And then if we type in Daypool interior, it doesn't find any. So then now if we launch, we will find out if this is now a larger glitch or if this is specific to the pull system. And then after that, I'm going to call it. Hey, Vicus, how's it going? Viscous. Oh, man. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it looks like, yeah, so that fixed the issue. So it really is a syntax error, I think, that's causing it. Um, at least we know it's down to the actual pulls there at the end. If it's messing up those pulls, then potentially it could be one of the zombies that was added to the pool. Maybe. No, because we would have seen that earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up for the night and take a look at this tomorrow with fresh eyes. But for now, I think it just, once again, it's down to a weird syntax thing where it doesn't really make any sense why that bug is there. I'll take a look tomorrow and see if I can figure it out. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I look forward to your guys' feedback. Once again, this has been another update video for 1.0. I look forward to hearing your guys' feedback and comments, and I'll see you.